I mean, I deal with a lot of dysfunctionality, and so people try to be more effective, and so I've been in a way a preacher trying to how to create better leaders and to make wise decisions. I've met quite a few elderly people who are very stupid. There's nothing wise about them. And I've met some very young people who are wise before their age. So it's of course, if you're older, I mean, as I quoted Nietzsche, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So you could learn something from life experience, but some people don't learn. I mean, it's, I think one of the biggest difficulties in leadership is when you have so many people around you who have some feelings towards the leader, and you might start to live in an echo chamber. And so the quality you should really work on is humility, that you're a human being and that you don't start to believe all the people who I told you in my seminar, when you're a senior executive, you're surrounded by liars. And so your task is to minimize the lying as much as possible and to really listen what people have to say. And that's not always the case, because that word I also mentioned, hubris, that's it's disease of executives. They get too full of themselves and only hear what they hear, because people don't have the guts, the courage to tell them you're wrong. Whatever you might call it, but the Messiah complex, whatever, but it has to do with that that you're curious about people and give people voice, as I said, that people, they all have something to contribute. If they don't contribute, you don't want them having your team. I hope that's part of the program. I don't know. I mean, I wrote a book because of it's a simplicity of a number of recommendations. I mean, when I started to work for McKinsey, they said that the important factor was the golden rule. I don't know if that's true. The golden rule: treat other people like you want to be treated yourself. That's actually a very old rule. I mean, we are very primitive animals. When you know, like now this war going on, an eye for an eye. And you know what happens to an eye for an eye? It gets worse and worse. As I said, an eye for an eye makes the world blind. So to think about it, I mean, I have the expression, strike when the iron is cold. When it is too hot, you might not make the wisest decision. Basically think about it, what the impact is. Be more systemic to figure out, if I do this, what is going to happen. And but we have a tendency, which is Babylonian, an eye for an eye. We still do it, in both Babylonian times. No learning curve. I mean, it's interesting, it's a very good question. In the 70s, which is a long time ago for you, nobody talked about emotions. Now people realize the impact of emotions on, as a leader. I'm mentioning the leader as storyteller. And stories bring up the emotions because your mirror neurons start to work. So it's a very important factor. It's, and not paying attention to it is stupid. I mean, leaders should, of course, as a leader, you're the merchant of hope. So you couldn't say everything is bad, 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 bad. Everybody gets depressed. Like when one of the persons asked about toxic leaders, this person, I know he's talking about, but apparently somebody knew. But you know, you have to create positive emotions. You have to energize people. You know, even in difficult situations, that we can do something to really motivate them. Now, I think the major one, as I mentioned also in the end, is information overload. So becoming very selective about information. And also I was making this comment about this 2x2 diagram. You really, 2x2 being like, don't like, important, not important. You should really focus, if you're in a leadership position, on like and important. You really focus on that, because there you can make a contribution. Don't waste your time on don't like and important. Find somebody else for that. I mean, you have to build, as a leader, a great team. And you have to figure who, as I was making the comment, or personal comment about the editor of my 5 books at the moment, that I got one editor who is an obsessional and wanted all the references exactly. And so I found another editor who I paid and said, I don't want to have anything that drives me crazy. I have better things to do. It's not worth my time. You deal with each other. And then the hallelujah. Hallelujah. It's not easy, because it's easy to deal with structure, it's easy to deal with strategy, but to change the mindset of people is hard work. As I was making the example, the next week I'll spend, I have already marinated some of the people. The executive chairman was my student. The CEO was my student, so I have help. But they know that to get there, the owners, the major shareholders, are angry. They're upset because they are not making money. They're not making money. They have been growing. It's like Uber. Uber grows, but no profit. So the owners, the major shareholders, said enough is enough. We need to see money. We don't want to pump in more money in this company. So my task is two tasks. One is to change the culture that 2 countries are starting to talk. So 2 people group from 2 different countries start to talk more to each other. The second one is that it becomes more profit-oriented, not just sales-oriented. And then to make that happen, I have to build a team. And many of the people are very new, because they have been firing many people and bringing on new people, because the company has grown and the people they originally had cannot handle that size of a company. So it is hard work. So this is probably a number of events in which they build on what can we do, and give people homework. I give people homework. I'm a bad coach. I tell them, okay, what have you learned and what are you going to do? And in what time frame? Now, the many is different. I mean, I've become, in a way, a specialist on team coaching. So I said, give me a somewhat dysfunctional team and I make something out of it. And I've trained many people in this. And so many people, for example, my school, INSEAD, is probably the most coaching-oriented school in the world, business school in the world. So many people have adopted some of the techniques to make it happen. But that's one of but that sounds very self-centered. You know, when you have one hammer, you see only nails. You have to do many different things. But as I said, for leadership, strategy is important, structure is important, but culture is most difficult. I have no idea. To be the managing partner of McKinsey, you need to be a different leader than being a person who runs a factory in the Ural. I have had them both. So you have 2 filters. One filter is the national culture. So if you are in Slovenia, there are certain cultural factors you have to take in consideration. And then you have personnel, then you also have what kind of industry are you in. You have an industry filter. So if you give me those kinds of parameters, then you can say, okay, certain things are needed. But I think it's important that you build a culture where people feel safe, which is not the case in many situations, but people feel they have voice, they are listened to, and it is fair process. Now, basically people get paid, and also people learn. So you need to also create a culture where there's a lot of learning taking place, and people feel they're developing. So there's really some serious career management taking place. So those are qualities that should be part of the culture and part of the leadership program. I hope you don't have bad dreams.